pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much, Kanani. Quite inspirational, really. So, I guess we're going back and forth between Ethiopia and our community here. Now we're going to come back to Saturday tutorials. And I'm going to invite Ato Tesfa to come up. Please make him feel welcome.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the ESAI for giving the DSK and TMB this opportunity to speak to you and basically introduce our organization and also kind of solicit your help and kind of get you involved. So this is a slight deviation from what you've heard so far. You've heard all these really seemingly insurmountable tasks that RDL has, and which, in my opinion, is really not that insurmountable. Having seen very capable, sisters speak to us, so that kind of makes our goal, by comparison, so easy and very, very achievable. It's not to belittle the effort that's required to run a tutoring and mentoring program, but it's just to kind of put things in perspective. They're undertaking such a huge project, which requires a lot of effort, extensive planning, and very, very high level of skill. Whereas what we're asking you to do as we go through this presentation is kind of relatively doable. And even though it requires a long-term commitment, we're also open to very short commitments, kind of, as and when you have time, you can participate in DSKM TMB. By the way, DSKM stands for Debre Salam Qudus Mariam Tutoring Mentoring Program. That's where we are housed. That's where the tutoring program takes place. It was established by one of our esteemed colleagues, who I would like to stand up and get recognized, Mr. Solomon Saklai, who also professor at this Augustine Institute. So, his endurance and fortitude is just unmatched. I have not seen too many people who have the kind of grit that he has, and that's what it takes, grit. Because, he has had so many challenges, and he's established this program, and it has carried it through so many difficulties, and has kind of passed the torch. Not quite, he's still heavily involved with, but so many volunteers have come and gone, but he was a constant through all of this. So I'd like to recognize him for that. And next slide, please. Basically, what do we do? What does TMB do? We provide tutoring care to elementary, middle, and high school students. That kind of speaks for itself. We at some point decided to only accept high school students, but then, our challenges were not just limited to high school students, even though that decision was driven by capacity. We did not have enough volunteers to tutor all three different grades, middle, elementary, and high school students. But then as the demand grew and people just started showing up, we just couldn't find it in our hearts to turn them away. So we took them in. So right now we're tutoring elementary, middle, and high school students. We do remedial intervention to help students with academic challenges, but I don't want to give you the impression that that's all we do. We do have students who actually excel in school, and we want them to stay that way. So we're not trying to breed kind of marginal performers or those that just graduate from high school, even though in some cases it's quite a success to see a child graduate high school. But then again, we have students who are straight A, and we do have in our midst those that went through this program and have now achieved, quite a few pinacles of success. We provide advocacy and representation when requested by parents. Parental involvement is quite instrumental in any child's academic success. It's not, then again, some parents do not know how to get involved, and when they do, they really don't know what services the public school system provides. So we go to school, parent-teacher meetings, representing the parent, basically speaking for them. We do some kind of a little bit of advocacy also. Make sure that the students avail themselves of the services that the public school system provides. To that effect, we have sat with students, we have sat with educational experts, and to some extent child psychologists to basically advocate the cause of a child. In those cases, more often than not, those that will involve a child who is kind of struggling academically. So that's one of the things that we do apart from tutoring. We've also in the past conducted a skill training, which is, we're not trying to step the kids to vocational training. We want them to achieve, we want them to become kind of all-rounded, and we conducted a three-month-old basic computer skill training for students. And we have seen some of the students actually warm up to the idea of maybe exploring careers in IT. So that's what we did in one summer as a kind of a pilot. We tend to continue that in the future. The other thing that we do is, again, we're not trying to play parents or fill the gap that is supposed to be, we're not trying to do the parenting for anybody, but at the same time, we believe in the value of exposing children to, say, nature parks. This area is rich, the area we live in is rich with, museums, and just taking a child to the Air and Space Museum, that may spark that little light, and we may end up creating a budding astronaut. So we take them on field trips. Solomon has taken the students to as far as New York, basically, on visits to university campuses, in order to kind of like spark some kind of aspiration in them. So that's one of the things that we do. Next slide, please. Well, it's a little hard to see, but this is statistics as of last year. So in the subject areas of math and reading, we do spend 24% each of our tutoring time is spent basically in the areas of math and reading. That's not to say that those are the only areas where we have challenges, but that's statistics bears that that's where we have spent most of the time tutoring kids. We do followed by biology and social studies. In other words, of the 208 hours of volunteer hours donated, that is the kind of the breakdown. So that kind of gives you an idea where most of the skill set that we need lie. Most of our kids are, a little bit challenged in math, and quite a few of them in reading. Yeah, so is tutoring all we do? Like I said, no. We do take the kids on nature hikes, we take them to museums, we take them to visits on universities. So in the next few slides, you will see pictures with captions of what the kids have done. You see them just hanging out with friends. There they are, New York City, the unmistakable yellow cap. Next slide. Montgomery College actually is a great partner. The kids, our students have come here to the planetarium quite a few times. And that's one of the educational tours or that the children had participated in, apart from going to the Air and Space at the Smithsonian. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's IMAX at the Smithsonian. Next slide. Yeah, this is kind of like an advocacy that the kids have done. You can see that they have become quite political activists. They have actually spoken to the mayor. They have advocated a cause of advancing free tutoring programs for all DC students. Next slide. That's Air and Space again. Again, they are visiting Air and Space, participating. By the way, I wasn't part of some of these. I'm relatively new to this program. I've been with the program about close to 3 years now. So I got some of these pictures from Solomon, so from his archives. Next slide, please. Yeah, some of you may recognize this building. You have come past this sign as you came to this meeting hall. Next slide. And the next slide, please. Yeah, as you can see, these were some of the places that we took them for its educational value, entertainment value, and also kind of like create that camaraderie between students and also that spirit of community. Next slide. And next. Natural History Museum. So most of these are just visits that places that we've been to. So how can you help the TMP? Basically, you can actually start taking part in this by filling out the volunteer application forms that Solomon would circulate amongst you. So just put as much information as you feel comfortable. We really don't, all you need really is your contact information, what subject areas you can help, and your availability. So to the extent that, but anything that says optional, you can feel free to leave it blank. And the other thing is just do another outreach. In other words, help us reach out to other volunteers. And actually, this interaction, as my sister was speaking from the USPTO, I hear that they're going out and tutoring high school students at TC Williams. And I just, as a kind of like want to make a plug for our program. You might want to float the idea of, volunteering. If you could solicit your membership to volunteer at TMP, that would help us out greatly. Next slide. Yeah, so these are our needs based on the statistics that we have gathered and the kind of commitment that we anticipate. We need, at the present, we need 25 volunteers. And again, it's a laundry list of the subject areas that you can help us with. That kind of reads like, my children's report card, pretty much every subject is up there. And apart from just tutoring, you can also help us do some kind of organizational work. The SKM-TMP is a fully volunteer-run organization. So any one of you who can help us grow this organization, recruit more volunteers, just follow up, make sure that volunteers show up, and then scheduling any help that you can provide, kind of like being our back office, the back office that we don't have. So that's one area that you can help us. Again, no experience necessary. There are a multitude of resources that you can use. I, for one, I'm kind of like a cross between an engineer and a manager, so it's been ages since I was out of school, at least high school. And I just took the plunge and I started tutoring, and it wasn't as intimidating as I thought it was. So then again, I'm not one of those guys who say, what I can do, you can do. No, but anybody can be a tutor. All it takes is, again, the few hours a week that you can dedicate. Now, I don't want to imply that you have to show up every Saturday, even though the tutoring program goes from 2 to 6 on Saturdays. You can show up one day a week for 2 hours. One day a month for 2 hours. That's perfectly fine. We also encourage, whenever possible, off-site tutoring. Can you tutor, for instance, on a Saturday morning? Can you tutor on a Monday night? Can you do it in a neighborhood library, tutoring a child who lives in your neighborhood? So you can develop a one-on-one relationship with one child, with a family, and tutor their children. So we expect, that's the other support that we need from you guys. Designing the program itself. Right now, it's limited to 2 to 6 at DSKM-TMP, which is located at 1350 Buchanan in Northwest Washington. So these are our needs. And this brings us to our last slide. So again, you need a binocular to read those, but I think any one of you know where the Jerusalem Christian Church is. It's in 1350 Buchanan Street, Northwest Washington. Stop by anytime. Well, anytime. It's quite a stretch. but come there between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Tutoring is not in session right now. We're actually in a kind of like hiatus. Well, actually, we're closed for summer. But feel free to call myself, and I also volunteer Solomon and Mike, who is not here today. Their numbers are up there. Feel free to call them. And there is just, of course, Mariam TMP has an email. It's simple, mariamtmp@yahoo.com. Mariam, M-A-R-I-A-M, TMP@yahoo.com. And then, of course, you can email me, Mike, Katrina, Solomon, or Likas Newman Getaun, who is actually head of the who is our liaison with the church and head of the education program. Well, thank you for indulgence, and again, thank you ESAI for giving us this opportunity to speak to you guys, and we hope to see you, in one of our, forthcoming tutorial sessions. And any questions I will accept at the tail end of this program, but please fill out those forms. Even if you have like an hour or two to spare a month, we can use it. And those of you who cannot make it there, you can be our back office. And thanks again.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tasfa. It is quite one of the most important things that I've found talking to some of the most successful people. Having a tutor is literally a requirement to some extent. Whether to be in an educational setting or in a job setting, you need someone to fill that gap. And I think the Saturday tutorial seems to be doing just that for high school students particularly. Our next, I think we're going to have a short poem by Daniel. I think I'm told it's going to be an Amharic poem. I think the majority of the people here can hear Amharic, but let's just do a quick test. I do this a few places, and let's see if it works. Just to see how many people can actually hear Amharic. So when I say something, you're supposed to respond. So let's try tarat tarat.
Rambaret.
Oh, okay. Let's see it one more time. Okay. Enkoglish. Okay. Daniel, I think you're in good hands.
እድሉ ስለተሰጠኝ እንግሊዘኛው ቢበዛም ላይክ ለንደን አይነቱ አማርኛው ለማይችልም አንድ አማርኛ ግጥም አለኝ። ይጠበቅብናል ይላል። ያደኩበት ቄ ውሃ የረጨውበት ገደል ተራራውን ዛፍ የቀጣውበት የሕፃንነት ዕድሜ በአግባቡ ወርቄ በግና ፍየሉን በጋራ ጠብቄ ባህርና ወንዙን በዋና አቋርጬ የልጅነት ደስታ ሁሉንም አይቼ ለጥቂት ዓመታት ከሀገሬ ብርቅ የማላውቀው ታሪክ ድንገት አለብቅ በዛች በመንደሬ በለምለም ሀገሬ እንኳን የሚጠመድ አንድ ጠፍቶ በሬ እርሻና ግብርና በአጠቃላይ ቀርቶ መሬቷ ዘርንም ፍሬን ማፍራት ትቶ ወንዞቿ ደራርቀው ቅጠሏም ረግፎ ወገኔም ችግርን ለብቻው ታቅፎ በረሃብ በጠኔ እየተሰቃየ ጆሮዬ እየሰማ ዓይኔም ችሎ እያየ መቀበል አቃተኝ ውስጤን ከበደው የወንድሜን ችግር ለማላዋየው የሰማዩ ለቅሶ ናፍቋቸው ዝናቡ በጣሙን ተከፍተው ክፉኛ ሲራቡ ምድረ በዳ ሆኖ ያውሉ ባረ ከብቶቻቸው አልቀው በውሃ ችግር ከአንዴም ሁለት ሶስቴ ጠግበው እንዳልበሉ ከራሳቸው አልፈው ሰው እንዳላበሉ ዛሬ በአደባባይ በችግር ተዋጡ ተራቡ ተባሉ። እኮ እውነትም አንቺ ኢትዮጵያ እኮ እውነትም ውዱ ሀገሬ እንዲህ ተቸግረች በረሃብ በጠኔ ድረስልኝ ሲለኝ ያየዋ ወገኔ ጥሪሽን ካልሰማው እጄን ካልዘረጋው ኢትዮጵያዊነቴስ ደሜ ምኑ ላይ ነው? እኛ እንደ አምላክ ፍቃድ እንደ ቸርነቱ ብንርቅም ከችግር ገብተን ከስደቱ በሰው ሀገር በሰው መሬት ተርፎን ብንጠግብ ብናድር ያለአንዳች ምሬት ከዛ ሁሉ ስቃይ ብንርቅ ያለአንዳች አበሳ አደራን ወገን ወንድም እህትን አባትን አትርሳ። የሀገር ልጅ ወዳጅ ሲገኝ በጎ አሳቢ ሀገሬን ልርዳ የሚል ያለአንዳችን ገቢ ወገን ለወገንህ ድረስ በወገንህ ትልቅ ታሪክ ሰርተህ እለፍ ለሀገርህ። አንድ አንተ ብቻ ነህ መፍትሄው በእጁ ያለ ለተቸገረው ሕዝብ ያለከውን ተስፋ ከአምላኩ ቀጥለ። ስለዚህ ባንዲራ ብለህ ለትርጉሙ አረንጓዴው ሳይቀር ቀርቶ መለምለሙ ስለ ቀዩ ቀለም ከፍለ የደም ዋጋ እንደ አባቶቾች አንተም ለሀገርህ ለአንድ እናትህ ትጋ።
እናመሰግናለን። Our next presenter is